Good morning and welcome to Tuesday. It's the morning show, 8 a.m. Central Time. Central Time, where we get together on the morning time to have conversations. Man, I can't talk today. What in the world is going on?
I don't know.
Conversations. I promise I've not been drinking. Anyways, it's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. Of course, we've got TikTok in the house. Glad you're here, TikTok. We've also got a Zoom chat open, but he ain't here yet. Brother Martinez.
Logging in
Yeah,
and out
exactly. Be like,
yeah.
why are you here or not here? I do see on the comments here, we've got TJ Pruitt in the house. Good morning, sir. How are you? I hope you're doing well. If you are watching today, why don't you go ahead and leave us a comment? Tell us you're out there. We'd love to start off the conversation with you today. First off, wonder how everyone's Memorial Day weekend went. Hope you had a great weekend. I feel like the vibe that I've gotten from people so far, I think everyone is dragging bad.
Yes, I agree.
What was so funny?
Oh, I just thought you were going to yell out "but," and I was like, okay.
But.
Dragon,
but.
But yes.
But for real, so even in the group I play ball with, we struggled to get 10. We had 11 there today, so which was good. It kept it consistent. But yeah, we got the vibe that like everybody either went out of town, had look at you, you're yawning too. You're just like,
I yawn every morning though. I don't know what my deal is.
You should breathe more. Do you know that yawning is getting here. That's what I've heard. Oh, a yawn is a silent scream for coffee.
Yes.
She's got the mug. She's got the mug. TJ said, great weekend.
Oh,
Quiet
Kiana,
day so far.
We are not alone. She's dragging today too. She feels it.
Yeah, like for real. Good morning, Kayla. Good morning, Kiana. Like, seriously, I don't know what it is.
No, I just told him before the stream started
What'd
that
you say?
I woke up at 6:50. Actually, it was 6:40. And I was in like a panic because I was like, I've got to wake up. Oh my God, the show starts in like 20 minutes. This is awful. Or I've got to be ready in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And because I like to have a little bit of time where I'm
Right.
ready. And I'm just like, but then I realized that it wasn't. it was at 8 and not at 7.
Right.
And so it was just one of those feelings. You know when that happens and you feel that like panicked feeling about something, and then it's not really a thing, that even kind of trips you up. You just feel groggy after that the whole time because you're like, I don't even know.
Well,
what time it is.
so much like hormones have secreted out. You're like oh God, we gotta. Oh wait, no, there's no reason for that.
Yeah.
There's no reason. False alarm.
Yes, that was an
Overreaction. I love it. I love it. So far everyone, so we got, a few folks that are like, man, we're dragging a little bit. Yeah. Just had Martinez hop in on the Zoom. Good morning, Martinez. How are you? All righty then. I bet he's got Malachi duty.
Oop, muted.
Muted.
Oh, sorry.
There he is. You're good, brother, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, happy terrific Tuesday. Yeah, I got a little bit of Malachi duties, but he's acting right. He's asleep, which is the best thing he did.
He's acting
That's
right.
That's when he's acting right.
Uh-huh.
Dude, y'all see where Robbie knocked my teeth out, you know? I'm not sure if y'all saw that, but we'll talk about that later.
Wait. Hold on a second. Which one did it?
Robbie.
What do you mean what are you talking about? What happened? Y'all can't see this, but Martinez you brought it up. I got to know what happened.
You missed our bishop
Bro,
so much.
We don't have time. All I know is I'm calling the police as soon as possible.
Johnny and Amber need to move out the way.
Well, hey, listen, don't tell a woman that teens are about not changing diapers fast enough when she's trying to cook dinner and everything else. You know what I mean? It's just good old backhand. It never fails.
Oh my God!
I'm gonna tell you, I want you to send a video to my papa and be like, Bishop, I missed you so much that I wanted to knock out a tooth to look just like the way you did for like 4 months.
That's right.
Yeah. I can't remember what happened to him. He bit down
Something
on
happened,
something.
yeah.
Bit down on something and that tooth just went bye.
Well, man, that stinks.
In all truthfulness, it was a skateboard accident. I hit and I fell face first and freaking hit the teeth.
Good Lord.
Hang on a second. So that first part was a joke. But you was on you was on a skateboard?
Yeah, it was rough.
Who got you on a skateboard? I've got to know now.
Is that like a thing?
It's like just fun, you know?
You're a skateboarder?
I mean, I don't do it well, but I used to do it okay, you know?
So what you're saying is you were a skater boy.
You were a skater boy.
Yeah.
You'd say, see you later, boy.
You know you're doing something wrong when you're coming down the hill, and you know how the skateboard, it just starts wiggling back and forth real quick, you know?
Yeah.
It's like...
Oh, my God.
And then you hit a pebble, and you
Oh.
go flying.
Bro.
I'm going to tell you.
Just give it up to the gods.
Worst tailbone pain ever is when you fall backwards on the skateboard. Oh, well, I mean, I stepped on one once.
Did you?
I didn't trick skateboard. I just would, when we were building our new church building in Greenville, it was when we poured the slab. So it's just this huge slab of concrete.
Yeah.
And us kids would race on the skateboards. It's from one side to the other. So, yeah, I kept my teeth, though.
I feel...
Yeah, well, that's good for you.
That's my problem, though, Martinez. You fell that way. I fell backwards. Yeah, I fell the other way.
Exactly.
It was awful. It was awful.
Yeah, I hate that, man.
So much pain.
Oh.
blood everywhere. Had to get stitches. I won't show you the stitches I got, but that's all right. Anyway, so what are we talking about today?
He said, let's talk about. By the way, I see Mark popping on the screen. Good morning, Mark. Hope you're doing well. Hope you guys are having a great time. Looks like I saw a gold medal or something on Facebook. Looks like they're Eli's wearing it out in baseball because he's a beast for sure.
Yes.
Billy apparently was a skater boy. Things you learn after 16 years.
13.
What did I say?
16.
I'm having a difficult day today.
I can't,
man, like I'm just like.
The dyslexic has to help you along.
That's not even a dyslexic error. I mean, if anything, it should have been 15 if I was going to flip that around.
The contacts, they're not working right.
I don't know. The brain's not working.
I had somebody ask me about that when you were preaching. They were like, can he see? Because you had your Bible up and you were reading it, but you were like right here.
Small print.
Small print.
Small print.
So you're going to have to get him the adult Bibles, like that has the bigger font.
We're going to take it the family Bible, It's like 50 pounds.
Or pop out that New Testament Bible that, comes with your little baby dolls.
Uh-huh.
That's
Little Gideon. Well, they wouldn't have had my text in it.
That's true.
Dude, that's fine. District champs. There we go. 4 games to go to repeat.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Okay, so what do you, where
Yeah,
do
so
you
we want to
take
segue.
us?
Sorry, I'm enjoying catching up a little bit. So today, or rather this week, I want to talk a little bit about something that actually got stirred in my mind studying for Sunday's sermon. And
Great job, by the way.
Thank you.
He
Thank you
preached
very
Sunday.
much.
It was awesome.
Beautiful.
Israel, their big issue obviously was with disbelief, but the thing that robbed them of their belief, that is acquiring the promised land. I'm in like the very first part of the Bible. But they were afraid. They were afraid of the giants that were in the land, the enemies that occupied their promise. Mm-hmm. And when you look at Joshua, multiple times the Lord told him, be strong and of good courage. Mm-hmm. Be strong and courageous, rather. So obviously that was a very important thing because they as a people struggled to move forward because of fear. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of thought about, like, even in my life, like, number one, what role has fear played in dismantling my happiness, my progress, my growth? And what even right now, what are some things right now that if I would just be honest and identify, I would say, man, I'll be honest with you, I'm struggling with a little bit of fear to do X, Y, or Z. Mm. And so maybe I just thought it would be good to kind of kick around the room, like, what are these concepts of fear that, if we're being honest, like, oh my gosh, this is a real struggle. And let's get some opinions going. Like how do you overcome fear? What is it? Is there strategy? Is there actions to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do? Like, for instance, do either one of you have a story that comes to mind where you were like, man, I was afraid. First I was afraid. I was petrified. Oh my gosh, sorry.
Please,
my brain, guys, that's just what pops in my head.
Please.
But like, what advice, what could we talk about to help people, and even me, right? What could we do to overcome fear? What's your thoughts on that?
It'll take longer than a week.
Hey, we're all in the lab still. I mean,
especially a short week.
On a short week. Do you have a month?
Man.
Do you have a month?
Oh man, what's the question?
So, like, maybe to start out, let me ask you this question: what's a time in your life that you were afraid, and you were able to move past it? And what could you say from that experience that helped you? Because maybe in order to get past our future fears, maybe we could start talking about our past conquerors, or not conquerors, but our the past and where we've overcame fear. Like what's some things that, like, man, I was, and you don't have to get like super specific or, but like I even think about like a child. Mm-hmm. Like, how many times has Anna been like, it's dark in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's literally being afraid of what you can't see.
Yeah.
I can relate with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can relate with that totally. And with her, it's like, hey, you've got to bring her into the. Well, first of all, we got to shed light on the unknown. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to be afraid in here, right? But like even with us, how many times do we look at situations that we don't know what to do? How do we shed light on that?
Well, I mean, I struggle with anxiety, so I feel like fear, that's the core of that.
Mm-hmm. So when you say anxiety, like what does that do to you? Like
it's the constant feeling that you've slept past your alarm clock and you're running late.
So like urgency.
Your body feels that way. Like my body feels that way. And then I'm expecting really bad news. Like when my phone rings, it's a panic.
Okay.
When it's just this momentary, it's almost like you were just expecting something. I remember one time I was on the road. This was last month. It's like I was so close to hearing a phone call that something was wrong. I just knew that something was wrong. And I knew something was wrong with you. I don't know what it was. I was like, somebody's fixing to call me, tell me that, somebody tried to, rob an ATM, you were there. And I don't know why I felt that so powerful. And it scared me because it's like, oh my God, is that like an intuition thing? Because I'll be honest with you, when you're in that fear, it feels so real. It does. It feels real to the point that you're like, oh my God, is it? And it wasn't. When I'm in those moments, and those are fewer and farther between than normal life at this point, thank God. But the thing that kind of keeps me from just letting that just take over would be reminding myself of the present, like where I'm at right now, like just breathing. It's okay, just breathe. And there was Mel Robbins, I think, is the one that said it. She talked about, if you're feeling something, if you're feeling fear over something that's coming up, or you're feeling fear, even when you're having anxiety or whatever, there's something coming up. There's a test tomorrow, or there's a doctor's report tomorrow, or whatever. You get a call about your job tomorrow, and you're worried about it being bad news, right? Like you're worried about something bad, and you feel that fear. Just tell yourself, I'm not going to think about that right now. Like out loud, tell yourself, I'm not going to think about that right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm not going to think about that right now. And I'm going to deal with it when it comes. And when it does come, and if the worst case scenario happens, I'll deal with it then. And when I do, I won't be alone. And you just kind of, and as weird as that sounds, it works. You're telling yourself, I'm going to deal with it then, and when that comes. And so, and then you have to actively, sometimes you have to repeat that, within yourself, but actively telling yourself, I'm not going to think about that right now. I'm not going to think about that right now. Like I'm in the present. And so for me, combating fear is that exercise. Sometimes it's present gratitude practice, where I'm presently thinking about the things I'm grateful for, right? From this day. Like, what am I thankful for from this day that makes me? And so when I find myself fearful, I'll surround myself with those positive things, and that tends to quiet the beast.
So just want to recap this, and by the way, after I do this, Martinez, you're more than welcome to jump in on this. So what you're saying is with anxiety, it's like an overwhelming fear attack of what could happen.
Yeah, it's not like a panic where it's like a panic attack. Panic attack is like you're screaming and you can't,
Like, okay, so you're saying panic attack causes a physical outburst versus anxiety. You're elevated, you're fluttering, and you're overwhelmed with fear. But it's the fear of what could be. It's not what's happening. It's, hey, this could be happening. Or what if this, like, what about this? Is it contemplating? Well, what if this happens? What if this happens?
Sometimes it's your anxiety is so bad that it gives you a physical response. When I was a teenager, I was so nervous about being around people. And this is crazy, but like I was so nervous about being around people and getting sick. Like got sick. That I would get sick. And I spent so much of my life legitimately in the bathroom throwing up because I was afraid I would be in the bathroom throwing up.
Wow.
Like, you know, and so, you know, that
it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. Like, oh, I don't want to get sick. Oh, here it comes.
yeah. Oh God, I'm going to get, yeah. I mean, that was, and, you know, I spent a lot of, fear has been, very present in everyone's life. But, you know, for me, there's a lot of things that in my life, and I realized very early on, if I give in to said fear, it then overpowers me. You know what I mean? Like if I don't go to a function because I'm afraid of being around a big crowd, then I'm not going to be able to go to an even smaller function because then it's like that fear will be so big. I don't have that. But if I push through it and do the thing that I'm afraid of doing, it's kind of like I've won. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Now that doesn't mean I don't have another battle, but it just means that I have a little bit of power in the next battle.
Okay.
That was how I dealt with that as a teenager.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate you sharing that. This is no pressure. Is anything that you want to share in that regards, Martinez?
Oh yeah, I mean, and I think I remember quite some time ago, and I'm not sure if you all can relate to this, but you know, being parts of meetings or groups where there's been direction or instruction, or even in class where, you know, the teacher says is going over curriculum and she'll say, for example, is there any questions, or does anyone, does everyone understand? And you might not understand.
Yeah.
But you
know, and you want to, you're clueless, and you're like, but like, you know, you want to raise your hand, but you know, something kind of like says, you know, it's okay, and the teacher might even say, oh, anyone, she'll give you a second chance. Anyone have any questions? And you have all kind of questions, and you leave that class, you know, not knowing, not getting your answer.
Yeah.
Or in some meeting or whatever, and you know, the leader or the person that's leading the discussion, like, it's giving out info about, hey, what, where, why, what we're about to do, and you might even have input regarding, hey, have you considered this, or what about this, or what about that, and you want to say something, and you're like, I might look like I'm stupid. That might be a dumb question. I might, you know what I mean? Or you start hearing those, you know, I'm impeding the progress. Everybody's gonna be upset because we're gonna be late for lunch or something like that. You know, that kind of stuff like that. I don't want to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I remember having those kind of battles a lot, and I still do to a degree. You know, about like, what do you have something to contribute or have something to say? And part of it's not necessarily, you know, I listen to other people make comments and I'm like, God, that was stupid. I don't even know why they asked that question. You know what I mean? You don't want to be that guy or that girl. You know what I mean? And so there's that fear, like, you know, like, well, how you're going to be perceived, or is that going to be a question that is relevant to everyone else and that kind of thing, and it, I don't know, it's just like a look, but you know, speaking out, I guess you can say. And I think some of us, you know, like, no matter where we are in a certain arena, there's that opportunity for us to speak up, and we hold our tongue, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, particularly if you look at yourself, if you look at the model, the makeup of you, and you ask yourself, okay, am I a person that causes disruption, or am I a you know, or that causes, like, you know, you know, criticalness, division, or am I a person of team effort, or a person that's thinking good things, or, you know, are you a good person or a bad person? And the thing about it is, if you know if your history is not being a bad person, then what happens is like, why wouldn't you speak up in
Yeah.
that meeting or at that occasion? Because your history has shown that you've been a person that wants to add value, that wants to help. And like, if you don't speak up, then, and the way I look at it now is like, if you don't speak up, then that group, that setting will leave not having gotten better or not having gotten information that they could have used, because a good men or good women sat down on their hands in times of opportunity.
Right,
Does
right.
that make sense?
That does. I heard somebody one time say, and this is something that helped me. They told a story about a lady that, long story short, somebody didn't tell them something. It was a product that they were offering, and they didn't tell her about it because they were like, well, she wouldn't be interested. Well, come to find out, she had a situation that required that particular program that would have helped her very, very much with a life situation. And she found out later that this person who was a family member had this program and never said a word. And so she confronted her and said, why didn't you tell me about it? She said, well, I didn't think you'd be interested. And she said, I'm an adult. You let me be the judge of that.
Right.
So like this idea of like, I don't want to let this out. Well, you don't know who that's for. Even if it's just for you to hear it, that's fine. But like I even appreciate, I love this, what TJ just said. He said, I would describe fear anxiety as mental noise. He says it clogs the mind so that you have to force yourself to focus on how things have worked out in the past. And here's a key, and I agree with this. It's exhausting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like the battle of the mind, like I will tell you this, I've been reading a book called Limitless, talking about your brain.
Danielle.
Oh, hey, Danielle. It talks about how much energy and nutrition your brain actually demands.
Yeah.
Like so many people be like, well, you know, it's just thinking. Yeah, well, thinking, man, I'm telling you right now, that's work. I mean, it really is critical thinking. But I think that's also why the attack of your life is always typically on your mind.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Very true. Well, also, anxiety is a interesting, or fear is an interesting thing, especially with anxiety and stuff. Anxiety is actually okay to have in the right setting, right? Like it's your defense or whatever, you know. So if you're in a fight or flight situation, you're going to need all your senses heightened, and that's what that does. Ultimately, it's your adrenaline's going and you're feeling, but you know, in a setting like this, it's not going to be very good. You know, it's like I'm not in a situation where there is a predator chasing me, and,
right?
You know, like I need to run. Or, you know, I'm not in a situation where I'm in a game and I need that, you know, intensity. So the best thing I've ever heard about fear is it's when your brain is bored.
Really?
Yeah. Anxiety and things
Anxiety
like that.
is when your brain is bored.
Yeah. Your brain
like it's because it has the ability to contemplate those things? Like, what do you mean by that?
It's tapping into that. I can't remember the book that I read that said that in there. It was very interesting, but the idea of your brain being bored, you know, and not giving
so it's going to tell itself stories to keep it occupied?
Yeah, basically, you know, it's going to tap into that place in your brain, and it's just kind of a bored situation. Now, granted, his theory was hacking your brain, or rather keeping it busy on the positive side to keep it from getting bored like that. So a lot of times, and too, if you think about this society as it is, we have never had more access to negativity than we do now. We've never had, I mean, it's right there on our phones. We can get alerts about how many shootings there was in the neighborhood over, you know, how many murders there was across the country, how many, you know, and I definitely, you know, I've said throughout the pandemic, you know, be informed, don't be obsessed. but it's so easy to become, like have just giving so much access to yourself. And when you're finding all that, that's just food for your brain to feed on. That's junk. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're obsessed with it and there's so much negativity and you read all the negativity and it's awful. And so what you play out in your mind, not to mention your own personal fears. Yeah. One of the greatest things you ever told me one time is when you fear losing someone you love, right? Inevitably that may happen. You might lose somebody that you love, but let it be once. If you're going to lose somebody, let it be once. Don't sit there and replay losing somebody. Don't deal with that. You're never ready for that. Don't do that. Like just, think positive. Don't play out the idea of losing somebody because, why would you want to go through that more than one time?
Oh, absolutely.
Just little things like that. Your mind plays out things and it just puts a damper on your entire outlook.
When you say the fear is your mind being bored, that kind of puts me in the mind of that scripture that talks about an idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
So an idle mind is like, it's not advancing. It's not, it's just sitting there like ready to be invaded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's that scripture that talks about whatsoever things that are pure, whatsoever things that are right, it talks about these good affirmations. It's saying in a way, it's like have your mind engaged with the things of God, like things that are good affirmations, because then I guess your mind wouldn't be idle, I guess, But I think that's really rich, anxiety is your brain. What'd you say? Your mind being bored. Fear is the result of your mind being bored or whatever. And I don't know. I think that's something that we all could be intentional about, because to your point, there is a lot of negative information, and there's also a saying that said, what you focus on expands. Yeah. And so if there's like all this negative information out there and you're and not that you're focused on it, but the world is inundated, with all this negative information, you have to pick it up. Yeah. But if you don't train your mind to be intentional about engaging in the things that are pure and right and wholesome and, good and, being intentional, then, we leave ourselves open for, for other seeds to be buried in it. Yeah. And therefore cultivate it in a negative way. And then we kind of lose power and control ourselves by allowing somebody else to cultivate our mind.
To your point too, I mean, in terms of being bored, it's not that you're not thinking. It's not that you're not, I guess, because if you are somebody who struggles with depression on top of things like anxiety, you're going to use that scenario as, well, it's just something else I'm not doing right? Like it's just something else. I guess I'm not thinking the way I should. No, the truth is, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are pure, the whole concept of how the Word of God teaches us how to think is what our brain needs. Right? Our brain needs that to function properly. Positivity and gratitude, encouragement, right? Self-affirmation, affirming others. These are positive things that the result of it is your brain is working the way that it should be. Think out solutions, not problems. If you think out problems, make sure you find solutions. These are positive ways of thinking that trains your brain in the positive way, because there's like, your brain's a beautiful thing, and it's made to bring up in the forefront whatever it is you kind of surround yourself with, right? That's one of the greatest things I heard recently. What's it called? ARS is the short term of it. ARS. Yeah, so it's that idea of, right, like I got a new car, and when I got a new car,
RAS, reticular activating system.
RAS. Yeah. So I got a new car, and all of a sudden I see that car, right? Like I see that car everywhere. And then it's because there's this place in your brain that kind of says, oh, well, you got that new car. That's
the filtering mechanism.
It's the filtering mechanism. So that information I'm going to put at the forefront of your mind, and I'm going to show you all of these things. Show you all these
apparently it's important to you.
Exactly. So it's one of those, if I tell myself that, you know, I'm not good enough, right? I'm a failure. I'm overweight. I'm not, you know, strong enough. Well, then your brain doesn't attach that feeling to that. That's what you do. But your brain's like, oh, okay, well, that information is important to you. So I'll just make sure in any situation, to prove that to you, I'll show you evidence of it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and it's one of those, if I were to tell myself positive things, you know, this is going to work, this is good, then your brain starts to kick in and says, oh, okay, well, then that's what you want. I'll put that in the forefront.
You know, it's kind of funny because on the flip of that, I've never even thought about this, but to your point, the Bible tells us a little bit about ourselves. By the way, great comments I want to get to in just a second. But that explains why the Bible tells us every way is right.
Yeah, in
the eyes of man. In other words, you literally find what you're looking for. You know, and to these comments, because these comments set this up great. So, for instance, TJ says for his own health, he filters information that comes in as he gets older. Danielle says, take every thought captive. I agree with that 100%.
It's biblical. And I'll tell you this, because it's biblical, it's possible. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
I don't have to know your situation to know that you have the power and the
I
authority.
like that. If it's biblical, it's possible.
Exactly.
That's good.
You
I
have
like
the
that.
power and authority to take your thoughts captive. Now, the Bible will also help you guide through that. But yes, it's biblical, therefore it's possible.
Well, I'll tell you this, to what Martinez's point earlier, like, for me, there's certain things here's my filtering process, and it's a biblical thing. And the question and the deal is this. It's what I think it was Paul, in Corinthians. He talks about all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. So when when somebody's telling me something, I'm asking myself, is this helpful? Or is this just idle words? Is this just like fear vomit? You know, oh my God, did you know, blah, blah. Okay, well, I mean, bad things happen. You know, like, I mean, and even if it's, and I'm not saying that can be taken as a cold, non-compassionate, because I am compassionate.
Yeah.
But to your point, that didn't happen to me, so why should I act like it happened to me? I'm empathetic to the person it happened to.
Yeah.
I'm compassionate for them, but I can't be, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, that's just
it puts me in the mind of, you know, I was just thinking when it comes to fear, there's the fear of like the boogeyman, right? I'm putting fear in two categories, but, you know, fear of boogeyman, fear of the monsters or whatever. But, you know, there's the fear, mostly the fear that we have is somehow associated with us not being enough, or us not having the capacity to make it happen, you know? And I said that to say, like, where's that come from? And it kind of puts me back into when Adam was hiding, and he's like, Jesus was like, where are you? He's like, I hid because I was naked. He's like, God's like, who told you that? Yeah. In other words, who you been listening to? Yeah. Who has been in your ear? Who told you weren't enough? Who told you were insufficient? Yeah. You know? And so, and see, I tell you what, no one ever told David that, because if David was confident in himself in light of the experience that he had with the bear and the lion, and that gave him the power to fight the boogeyman, the giant, so to speak. Yeah. And so I said that to say, if we lack like confidence in ourselves that we're not enough, that we're not sufficient, that we're naked, because we've been listening to those outside voices, then there's a good chance, that, we're not going to have the wherewithal to fight that giant, that boogeyman,
Right.
if that makes sense. And so, like, I kind of was putting fear in two different, the two different categories. And the biggest fear is that we're not sufficient, that we're not enough.
Yeah.
And the question is, who told you that? Where are you getting your information from? Because my good friend told me that you were fearfully and wonderfully made, that you were the head, not, and not to tell all that nothing can separate you from the power, of the love of God. A good friend of mine told me that. And so, like, if I kind of like, if I'm getting those affirmations, those biblical teachings, then guess what? As Brittany said, it's possible. If it's in the Bible, it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
No, that's
I love
awesome.
it. I
That's
love it.
awesome. Got some great comments here too. It's this is hitting a nerve. TJ said there's something I refer to as the victim hero mentality. If you're not careful, you can allow your mind to view a scenario in such a way it positions you as one or the other, creating a false narration, and it will manipulate the information that comes in to fit the narration. The same is with anxiety. That's absolutely true. You can flip anything.
You can.
The way, however you want to do it. Mark says, whenever I talk about stuff, I think of the old SNL skit, "You're good enough." And doggone it, people like me. Who was that? Who did that? I don't remember. Mark, you're going to have to put in the comments. I can't remember who did that. Doggone it, people like me. Danielle says, this is weird because I'm reading a book right now called Get Out of Your Head. Interesting. Okay, I've never heard of that book. Have you heard of that?
No, I don't think so.
I'll
But
have to look at
I
that.
don't have to look at that.
Well, it went over our heads. So.
Yeah. So, to the possible, if it's in the Bible, it's possible, right? If it's biblical, it's possible.
If it's biblical, it's
Yeah.
possible.
Let's talk about
Baby.
we should probably end every episode on this. Fear not is in the Bible 365 times. So for every day of your life, of the year, you have something that says fear not.
Absolutely.
So
A declaration per day.
yeah, God knew that this would be an ever present
It's a
issue.
daily battle.
It is. It's a daily battle,
battle.
and that's why he gave us enough times to daily remind us, and then once we get through the year, we just start right back over, because that's what fear does. So
Yeah.
you've got to combat it. You can't just, I know anxiety is not a switch that you can turn on and off. I know that. I struggle with it. I've been on medication for it. I've studied on it. I've whatever, right? I know that there's not a switch that you can turn off, but I do know this: small actions, positive exercises in how you think about yourself and how you think about situations. It's all that makes all the difference in the world. Makes all the difference in the world. So it may not be a switch, but it is a step, and sometimes that is just more important, in the long run.
And I agree 1,000%. I think it's just like setting the expectation of your day, as far as whatever it is out there. Just know, this is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Mm-hmm. I mean, my goodness, you know how many people out there would love to have this day?
Yeah.
It's the day has unbridled opportunity, and if you're not in the scripture or word or that type of thing, there's songs such as like, "Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got this something feeling that everything's going my way." Mm-hmm. I forget all the words to the song, but it's just,
yeah.
I'm probably, and all of us do probably, take it for granted how upbeat and positive or how forward thinking we are and how in control. But I know there's probably people out there that just doesn't know how to get into this realm, of thinking. And golly, you deserve to be in the realm of thinking where you have a lot to offer and not to be fearful and that kind of thing. Because I just think about all the people who fear is so great or whatever, misery is so great that they commit suicide. That pains me. And so not to go too left on this, but like they just come on, like
it's a cloud, man. Yeah, it clouds.
Don't let it. Yeah. Thank you, Brittany. Don't let it cloud you. Yeah. Don't let it.
Because that person in their right mind, normal mind, would never make that decision. But it's a cloud, and I believe a demonic cloud that tries to, the enemy, steal, kill, and destroy. That's the goal here. And, Danielle, I was told once that it's scientifically proven that gratitude and anxiety can't exist in the same mind at the same time. Instead of choosing to be anxious over what hasn't been fixed yet, have gratitude over what has. Thoughts. Okay. So
on that note, I'm getting coffee. Take it, Brittany.
Yeah, 2 cups. This is something that I have not always done, but over the past year and a half of my life, I have really honed in on gratitude. And I will tell you this, when faced with things that I never thought I would be faced with, 2020, 2021 brought in things in my life that so far, some of the worst anxiety, some of the worst fear, and the things that have pulled me out of just a negative cycle of thinking is present gratitude. And I call it present gratitude because I will say I've learned certain things that I practice gratitude for tend to cause some issues. So like if I'm afraid of something and then I start being grateful for past things that are too far in the past, then I get nostalgic and melancholy, and then it doesn't really work that way. But I try to like stay present, right? So this is the day that the Lord, hath made, I will rejoice. So what is it today that I'm thankful for? What happened? And so I try to find little things like, like how easy the kids went to sleep, that night, and how sweet they were before they went to sleep. And we had a really good moment. We got our teeth brushed and then, or something simple, Adley just saying, "Oh, you mommy, I love you too, baby." That moment of holding on to that, or I had a great moment where I sat down with family. And so if you're trying for present gratitude, then all of a sudden your brain starts trying to find things that you're going to cling to when you're doing your gratitude practice. So yesterday in our Memorial Day, I remember sitting and I was having coffee and I heard all the kids playing in the bonus room and we were in the living room. And I just felt so grateful for the opportunity to have kids playing together, that our kids were a part of that, and that we were in a position to be able to host that. That just felt so good to me. And I was grateful for that moment. And I knew, like, anytime I do the present gratitude, I tell myself, this is a good moment. And just like this good moment, another good moment at some point will come. And when it does, I'm going to be so appreciative for it. I'm not going to cling on to this moment so much that when it passes, I'm going to be like, I wish I had that back. No, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that it happened, and I'm confident that just like that grateful moment happened, another one will come. And it's these grateful moments that get me through the gap in between. And so that is something that has been key for me, to not be just in this perpetual negative, toxic vibe of, oh my God, life is just, this is not how I wanted it to be. This is not how I wanted it to be. I didn't see life looking this way. Your brain is going to hear you say that, and your brain is going to say, oh, well, that's what's important to you. Then I'll keep bringing things in the forefront that look like that. Whereas when you start saying, nothing looks the way that you thought it would, but that doesn't mean it's not good. Let's look for good. So gratitude, Danielle, yes, you're exactly right. It is, I personally think it is like the secret sauce. It's the secret sauce.
Taste the sauce.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. So being grateful is a way to combat fear. Is that what I hear? Is that?
Yeah.
Is there a cousin to fear? Is there like a brother to fear? Like, is like doubt.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you know, I don't know. I'm just asking because, like, you know, maybe if we knew, like, where the trail of fear, like, ends, like, what leads to fear, like, that, like, where does it start? We can kind of, like, get off that trail, you know,
Yeah.
like, if we, for example, if doubt is like a cousin of fear, well, I don't want to visit doubt. I don't want to visit that cousin, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if there's, if I don't know what's a cousin of doubt, you know, or what's a, you know, double-mindedness, you know, or unsureness, you know, that kind of thing. So it's kind of like, you know, well, whatever, how do I get away from, I don't want to go visit the fear community. I want the interstate that goes to the hope community or the anything that can, that's good. You know what I mean? Like, what's the map to stay away from fear, you know, and its cousins and its brothers and its mayor, you know, the mayor of fear, the fear city. I don't know who that would be. Maybe that'd be, I don't know. But, like,
Debbie.
I need some help, guys. I need some help.
Debbie's down there.
Debbie Downer. She's the mayor.
And so maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like, you know, surrounding and being a part of people that are maybe we learn fear. Maybe we learn doubt by our associations, the communities that we run into, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm just trying to, like, think backwards into this. Like, how do I stay away from fear? You know what I mean? And, like, and if I know, like, if I can see some signs beforehand, then maybe I can do something now so that I will never have to, like, because, you know, maybe there's a fear out there where people like, you know, by the time I'm 70 or 80 years of age, I'm going to have triple bypass surgery. I'm going to have to have heart surgery. I'm going to have on medication for the rest of my life. Okay, well, what the freak? If you're afraid of that, like, what can you do right now so that you stay out of fear city of triple bypass surgery at 70, 80 years of age or whatever, you know? Hey, how about this? Quit smoking. Yeah. You know, that kind of, I don't know. I'm just talking.
I think that fear is, he says how to stay away from fear.
This is Mark Anderson.
Stay off of skateboards.
Martinez head just went back. Oh my God.
You're right, brother. Stay off the skateboard. Stay off the skateboard.
Oh, man.
Becky Jones. Hi, Becky.
Hey,
it's
Becky.
so good to see you. This is something that she said they've been working on. Her and Lanny were just talking about fear. Isn't that crazy how that happens? Just like you talk about it. I think that's just a God wink. You know, that's just like, hey, look, you know. And two, it's a common issue because we all struggle with it. And I think fear, especially the past couple of years, has definitely been put in the forefront of all of our minds.
You could say that it really has kind of shaped the what did I say? The landscape. Thank you. Well, that's exactly what I was. Yeah, it's like it really, like, you talk to people and there are just some things that, well, I'll be honest with you, we're afraid of things now we never thought about. And honestly, I think it would be healthy to kind of steer back away from some of that, because what we're trying to do, really what happened is the idea of control, the illusion of control got ripped from millions, if not billions of people. And now we're forced into this new frontier of there are no guarantees. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And listen, so we didn't mean to go ahead and make this an hour show.
Yesterday, though.
That's what it was. Yeah. This is two shows in one. But I will tell you this. We are making plans to program a format to support an hour. We've got some creative things, ideas that we want to bring to you to make this a really good hour conversation. But this has been so fruitful. Like, I love this.
It has been. And come back tomorrow because we're still talking about fear.
Yes.
And we want to talk about more.
Not just the fear, but like exactly like some of these strategies, like what you shared, Brittany, about how you and Danielle tag teaming about the gratitude anchors, and that was very, very helpful.
We'll talk about definitely more. I want to talk about. Let's come back tomorrow because I want to talk a little bit more about something that's helped me as well. Is the idea that you as a human being are built to withstand pressure. You're built to withstand whatever it is you're going through. You're built to survive it. Yeah, like it's funny. This is a person that is I don't think is a believer that shared this concept, but as a believer, I know that there is Bible behind that. You know what I mean? Like there's Bible behind what she's saying and truth because I know my Creator. So I know that I'm built to withstand whatever it is.
There's a scripture for that. There's a scripture for that.
Yeah. So I think talking a little bit more about that, and in the middle of your worst situation, just know that you're built to stand.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, on that note, guys, we'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll be all over the place. Sounds like we've got a format really starting to line up. And a lot of people are talking about the fact that this is a very relevant topic for them. So I'm very excited to learn and grow.
Send us messages or something about how you combat your fear.
Please. We, as you can tell, we like bringing you in on the conversation. We also, by the way, we have the availability to bring you in via Zoom or a phone call that works as well. So we'll be talking about ways of doing that. Martinez, thank you so much. You add so much great value. I wish you were just like right here. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like boom. Maybe one of these days we'll be able to pull that off.
Play date and
there you
morning
go.
Show.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, I thought she was about to say. I thought he was muted. Oh, okay. All good.
Oh, sorry.
I was like,
what an idiot. Anyway, fear of talking.
Fear of talking.
But I great topic, and just to kind of I think this started with the idea that your preparation of your sermon about like fear being like a hindrance to people getting to their promised land, getting to where they're, and that's why this is a valuable subject to kind of uncover, peel back the layers on, because there's a lot of promise in everyone's life, and how in the world do we expect to get there by hanging on to fear? We made it a buddy, a best friend. It's like it doesn't need to be a friend. It doesn't need to be an acquaintance to our household at all. So I get back to mine.
Yes, let's do it.
I love it.
More about fear tomorrow. Tune in.
Fear
guys.
not.
Yes,
we'll be back.